How many different shows do you think air on Nick Jr. in a single day? Have a guess. 15? 20? Maybe more? 6. 6 shows across an entire 24-hour schedule, which, when you think about it, is genuinely mental. It wasn't always like this, though. In 2016, the same channel aired 22 different shows in a single week. Blue's Clues, Dora, Wonder Pets, Wally Kazam, Shimmer and Shine, The Backyardigans, Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom, Max and Ruby, Peter Rabbit. Every hour was something different. If you were a kid watching Nick Jr. at breakfast, by lunchtime, you'd have seen 4 completely different shows, with 4 completely different art styles and 4 completely different things to teach you. And when you look at the shows that actually are airing today, there's one in particular that has more airtime than anyone else. Paw Patrol. It airs 14 times per weekday. On Saturdays, it's worse. 16 episodes back to back. 16! I had to check this twice. I thought I'd misread it. And one of the other 6 shows, Rubble and Crew, which is a Paw Patrol spin-off. So really, it's 5 shows and 2 different versions of Paw Patrol. One comment summed it up. While I don't hate Paw Patrol, I honestly agree with you that it did ruin Nick Jr. Nowadays, when I go on Nick Jr., I'll just see 99.99% of it being Paw Patrol. The schedule spamming needs to stop. The rest of the lineup is Bubble Guppies, which runs in a 12-episode block from 7 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon. And yes, I did just say 12 episodes of Bubble Guppies in a row. I haven't lost a plot. Followed by Peppa Pig, Mr. Crocodile, and Team Umizoomi in the overnight slots where nobody's watching anyway. As this user put it, Paw Patrol is the embodiment of why do they keep spamming this show. This user added, Paw Patrol is basically Nick Jr.'s very own SpongeBob. Except at least SpongeBob has 3 decades of episodes to cycle through. Paw Patrol just has dogs in hats. And if you want to hear more stories about your childhood being ruined, hit subscribe. 85% of you watching this right now aren't subscribed, which means most of you are watching my videos, having a good time, and then just wandering off. It's free to do, and it's just 1 click. Right, let's get into it. I should say up front, same disclaimer as always, I'm British. I did have Nick Jr. on Sky growing up, but CBeebies was always the default in our house. So I'm coming at this from someone who knew the channel existed, but wasn't as glued to it as many American kids were. Big shout out to LPS Cream Collie, whose video on Nick Jr.'s current schedule inspired a lot of this research. Go and check her channel out. Nick Jr. in the 2000s and early 2010s was genuinely stacked. Blue's Clues was a phenomenon. Dora the Explorer was arguably the biggest preschool show on the planet. But what made the channel work was the stuff around them. The Backyardigans, whose 5 animal friends in a backyard would imagine themselves into a different musical genre every episode. Wonder Pets, which was a guinea pig, a turtle, and a duckling saving animals to operatic music, which sounds absolutely mental, but somehow it worked. I watched clips of this for research, and I'm genuinely annoyed that I missed this as a kid. Yo Gabba Gabba, which was a man in an orange tracksuit and hat with a boombox introducing kids to indie bands through the medium of foam monsters. Lazy Town Witch was an Icelandic man doing backflips in a purple elf costume to teach kids about eating fruit. Absolute fever dream of a program, but it worked brilliantly. Wow Wow Wubsy, Little Bear, Gula Gula Island, Oswald, Little Bill, Maggie and the Ferocious Beast. Every single one of these shows looked different and felt completely different from the last. Blue's Clues and Dora were admittedly the biggest shows on the channel, but they didn't eat everything else. Every show got airtime and every show got a chance, and you as a viewer got the experience of flicking on Nick Jr. and genuinely not knowing what you were about to watch. That randomness made the channel what it was. You'd stumble across the Backyardigans at 3:30 on a Tuesday, and suddenly you're obsessed with a show about a moose doing a spy thriller as a bossa nova number. You just fell in love with it because it was there, waiting for you to find it. As this user says, I remember when Nick Jr. was actually good. In fact, I remember watching it more than the main Nickelodeon as a little kid because it actually had a good variety. It's a shame that Nick Jr. nowadays just spams a show they didn't even create. That last bit is important because Paw Patrol, it isn't even a Nickelodeon creation. It's made by Spin Master, a Canadian toy company. Nick Jr.'s entire identity is now built around a show that was designed from the ground up to flog toys, and they didn't even make it themselves. Imagine telling someone in 2005 that the future of Nick Jr. is a Canadian toy advert. They'd have you sectioned. So, how did one show end up swallowing an entire channel? Paw Patrol launched in 2013, and it was a hit, fair enough. Kids love dogs, and they love rescue missions. It works. I've got no issue with the show itself. The problem is what happened to everything else once it took off. As this user says, Paw Patrol, along with SpongeBob, are the shows that get so popular with the audience that they end up getting milked until they become pretty much the entire channel's schedule. And almost any show that tries to approach the other's fame will definitely get sucked into obscurity on the channel if they don't air well. Which is exactly what happened. As Paw Patrol got bigger, everything else got squeezed out. Paramount decided that one guaranteed hit was safer than 20 interesting ones, and they just started binning stuff. Between 2019 and 2022, they cancelled Sunny Day, Rusty Rivets, Shimmer and Shine, Butterbean's Cafe, Top Wing, Abby Hatcher, and more. That's like half the channel just vanishing overnight. And every time a show got cancelled, the slot got filled with a Paw Patrol rerun. Paw Patrol didn't actually start the rot, it just finished it off. One commenter laid out a year-by-year timeline of the decline. 2010, Wow Wow Wubsy was cancelled along with the Backyardigans. 2011, Go Diego Go and Ni Hao Kai Lan were both cancelled. 2013, both Oswald and Franklin were taken off the air. 2014, 3 Nick Jr. classics were taken off the air. Those being Little Bill, Wow Wow Wubsy, and Gula Gula Island. Dora the Explorer was also cancelled that year. 2015, both Yo-Yo Gabba and Team Umizoomi were cancelled. 2016, both Ni Hao Kai Lan and Yo Gabba Gabba were taken off the air. Wonder Pets was also cancelled. 2018, Go Diego Go, The Backyardigans, Wonder Pets, and Little Bear were taken off the air. Show after show after show, gone. Paw Patrol just moved into the space that they left behind. Then it got worse because in 2024 and 2025, Paramount went through round after round of layoffs, and the people who actually developed new kids shows were cleared out wholesale. They shut down Noggin, the app for 2 to 7-year-olds, sacked the entire team. Lovely Christmas that must have been. And the new boss's official strategy, announced to staff in November 2025, was to focus on a more curated slate, which just means Paw Patrol and SpongeBob and just sod everything else. No new preschool show was even mentioned. They basically just waved the white flag and hoped no one would notice. And even when they did make new shows, they stuck them on Paramount Plus first. The 2024 Dora reboot premiered on streaming 4 months before it ever aired on actual Nick Jr. So if you're a kid watching Nick Jr. on the telly, you're not even getting the new stuff first. That's behind a paywall. You're getting reruns of reruns while the streaming service is getting first dibs. And here's another one that really stings. Wonder Pets, a Nickelodeon original, ended up getting its own spin-off on Apple TV Plus instead. Wonder Pets in the City launched on a competitor's platform in December 2024. Nick Jr. couldn't even hold on to their own shows anymore. They were literally losing their own creations to other services. And you can see the result on screen. They even pulled 10 Nickelodeon shows from their streaming service in one go. Blue's Clues and You, Santiago of the Seas, Ryan's Mystery Playdate, the Rugrats reboots, all just deleted overnight. Paw Patrol stays and everything else can get in the bin. One person on the Paw Patrol fandom forum said, "Has anyone noticed that it's been constant daily Paw Patrol marathons on Nick Jr. every week? What happened to Blue's Clues and You, Baby Shark, Peppa Pig, Bubble Guppies, Blaze and the Monster Machines?" Someone replied, "Every time I open Nick Jr., it's Paw Patrol." Another person said they checked the schedule and it was just a constant barrage of Paw Patrol. I mean, I get that it's their moneymaker, their bread and butter, but surely they can find other things to play, right? Another fan added, "This is what happens when a show becomes a channel's top moneymaker, unfortunately." Nickelodeon does the same thing with SpongeBob SquarePants and The Loud House, just as Cartoon Network did with Teen Titans Go and Disney Channel with Big City Greens. I mean, to an extent, it makes sense, as these channels depend on these shows to generate lots of views for money, but it's unfortunate as it means other shows rarely get the spotlight. On DeviantArt, Cade Backup made a piece called Nick Jr. Milking Paw Patrol in a Nutshell. Someone in the comments replied, "I don't hate the show necessarily, but damn Nickelodeon, let it rest." Another added, "Paw Patrol doesn't need 3 movies movies, a spin-off, and that much attention from Nick Jr. And another listed it out. Nick, SpongeBob SquarePants. Cartoon Network, Teen Titans Go. Disney Junior, Bluey. Nick Jr., now Paw Patrol. At this point, they should honestly just commit to the bit and rename it. Paw Patrol at TV. 24/7. Don't even bother pretending there's other programming, just dogs in hats round the clock. At least that would be honest. And the Paw Patrol obsession gets sadder when you look at what the show actually is. I mean, it's fine, but it's not groundbreaking. I can't get over the stuff that they had and just binned. Shows they actively killed while they were still good. The Tiny Chef Show won 2 daytime Emmys, right? It was this stop-motion cooking show with a puppet chef who couldn't pronounce half his ingredients, and it was genuinely brilliant in a way that nothing else on the channel was. It originally premiered on main Nickelodeon in 2022. Proper Nickelodeon, not the preschool channel, but by the end, they'd shunted it down to Nick Jr. for its final episodes. Demoted before they killed it. Cancelled in June 2025 after 3 seasons because Paramount basically let their contract expire during the merger and didn't bother renewing it. When the show posted a video of Tiny Chef finding out about the cancellation, the little stop-motion puppet trying to go back to what he was doing and then breaking down crying on his bed, it went properly viral. Someone tweeted, "Are you ready to die, Nickelodeon?" and got 3 million views and 192,000 likes in a day. Someone else wrote, "Never seen an episode and this broke my freaking heart. Oh my god, just let the little man cook." A 60-year-old bloke called Jim Warren commented, "I'm a 60-year-old man and I'm obsessed with the little guy. I truly feel a connection and was equally crushed by the cancellation. Jim, mate, you are the exact type of person that television should be made for." Even Dionne Warwick. Actual Dionne Warwick tweeted at Nickelodeon, "Are you proud of making this thing cry? Who is in charge over there? I want a name." Do you think that Paw Patrol getting cancelled or even getting a reduced schedule would get such an emotional response? I think not. People who never even watched it saw that video and felt something, and Paramount threw it away so the schedule could have more room for Paw Patrol reruns. Blue's Clues and You got cancelled mid-season, and this one properly winds me up. They'd ordered 26 episodes for season 5 and only ever made 4. 22 episodes just never got produced. 22 episodes of Blue's Clues in the trash. Absolutely criminal stuff. We're talking about Blue's Clues here, one of the most iconic preschool shows ever made, and they just let it quietly die with the season barely started. If you were watching Blue's Clues and You and wondering where your show went, the answer is that Paramount decided it wasn't worth finishing. Another fan wrote, "I'm still so heartbroken over Blue's Clues and You being given the boot. It was my comfort show when there was so much negativity going on in my life." This rather sad fan added, "The show was renewed for a 5th season and 26 more episodes. None of them were ever filmed." Really sad to hear this. Smash that like button if you agree with me that Blue's Clues never should have gotten cancelled. Honestly, every one of those cancelled shows was a different world you could have discovered. A different reason to keep watching the channel. Now they're gone, and what's left is dogs in hats. Again. And when you step back and think about what this means for someone watching the channel now, it's properly depressing. Imagine you're 3 years old in 2012. You turn on Nick Jr. and in a single morning you see Dora, then the Fresh Beat Band, then Bubble Guppies, then Team Umizoomi, then Wonder Pets, then Ni Hao Kai Lan. 6 different shows, 6 completely different worlds. Some were adventure, some were quiet and gentle, some were loud and mental. You got range, you got surprise, and you got the experience of stumbling across a show you'd never seen before and falling in love with it. Shows become part of your childhood like that, almost by accident. Now imagine you're 3 years old in 2026. You turn on Nick Jr. in the morning. Bubble Guppies, Bubble Guppies, Bubble Guppies, Bubble Guppies. 6 hours of Bubble Guppies. Then Paw Patrol until bedtime. I reckon that should count as some kind of psychological experiment at this point. That's your entire experience of the channel. The same 2 shows on loop all day, every day. You never get that moment of discovering something new because there's nothing new to discover. The DeviantArt artist Otha Bland made a piece called Paw Patrol and Nick Jr. in a nutshell and wrote this in the description. I think that it sums up the entire situation better than I ever could. Am I the only one that's getting absolutely sick of Nick Jr. being all about Paw Patrol? It seems to me that they're so reliant on Paw Patrol, and sometimes Blaze and the Monster Machines and the infamous Peppa Pig, they feel the need to have them steal time slots from other modern Nick Jr. shows, mostly the ones that came before them. And, just like with the outdated SpongeBob, the executives think the unnecessary is necessary to take a show for the Nick Jr. block and move it to the 24/7 channel of Nicktoons Network's junior counterpart without giving it a chance to grow and see how well it does with audiences. Even if shows like Butterbean's Cafe, Abby Hatcher, Corn and Peg, Ryan's Mystery Playdate, or The Adventures of Paddington proved to be hits, even though I'm not a fan of any, Nickelodeon, for whatever reason, believes they need to be at the same height of popularity as SpongeBob or the Paw Patrol in order to stay on the main channel and people wanting more from those shows. You can't even go on any of Nick Jr.'s social media pages without Paw Patrol being shoehorned in a post, or watch what other show is on the channel without a reminder of a new episode at the bottom right corner like you haven't already seen the promo. I know we have free watch websites and Paramount Plus, but it's not the same as actually watching Nick Jr. on the main channel if Paw Patrol can't respect and share the network with other shows people, mostly kids, love to watch too. I remember the main Nickelodeon channel actually didn't air SpongeBob for the entire day, either last year or this year. I think that would be cool if Nick Jr. didn't air Paw Patrol once for a whole day to see how it goes. I don't hate Paw Patrol, but I do think they need to start giving more shows a chance to shine instead of making excuses and believing that they're all kids want to see. Amen to that, my brother. The worst part is that this post was made 5 years ago in 2021. Even back then, people could tell Nick Jr. was becoming Paw Patrol at TV. It was raised yet again 2 years ago by Party TV, yet the video had no effect at all on Nick Jr.'s schedule. Indeed, fast forward to the present day, and things have only gotten so much worse. And the crazy part is, it's all for nothing anyway. Nick Jr.'s primetime audience has dropped over 50% since 2014, with another 34% gone in 2023 alone. The viewers are leaving, and Paramount's response to fewer viewers is to give them even less reason to watch. Fewer shows, more Paw Patrol. It's a death spiral disguised as a strategy. The former president of Nickelodeon even admitted it, saying, "Our company, along with others, was selling our content to the streamers because it felt like it was going to be a parallel universe. It turned out to not be a parallel universe at all." And you want to know how much this channel meant to people? Recordings of old Nick Jr. commercial breaks, the adverts between the shows, are getting tens of thousands of views on YouTube. 60,000 people watching the adverts. Even as the channel gets gutted, people still care about it that much. Paw Patrol is fine, genuinely. It's a perfectly decent show about dogs who do rescue missions, and it shifts a lot of toys. But you can't build an entire channel around one show and expect kids to have the same experience that you and I had growing up, where every time you turned on the telly, there was something different waiting for you. Nick Jr. used to understand that, now it's just dogs in hats 14 times a day. If you grew up with any of the old Nick Jr., Blue's Clues, Dora, The Backyardigans, Wonder Pets, Yo-Yo Gabba, Lazy Town, any of it, let me know in the comments. Which show in particular did you love? And what would you want today's kids to have that they're not getting? Thank you so much for watching. Special thank you to the 15% of you who are subscribed. See you for the next one. Snipe, snap, out.